Man, this girl can't afford our lifestyle. What is it we do in the red pill? We swap notes. Now, I'm sure people have heard all kinds of different stories about us, but I'm here to give you a glimpse inside the locker room. Here, we're going to discuss the field reports that happened a few years back. Brand new guys who are trying to learn the strategies that we talk about. Who am I? I used to be one of these brand new guys. I, like you, was pretty good at women and relationships, but I wasn't great at it. Hard times hit, things got tough, and it turns out there's nowhere for a man to go nowadays that actually wants him to succeed, to thrive, to get better at what he does and improve his lot in life. So, like most guys, I took it upon myself, found a bunch of guys in the same boat as me, and together we built a set of working strategies based on the experience of hundreds of thousands of men, just like us. Men swapping notes, iron sharpening iron. Welcome to the locker room. When we got together, we were pretty close to even with our incomes. I was in the trades, she was in marketing. I had pretty much zero debt, and she had a lot with student loans, etc. And over the years, we had both advanced pretty well in our careers until about 3 years ago when she decided she wanted to quit her job as an art director to teach yoga full-time, as well as starting her own yoga studio again. This cut her income in half, although she has in this last year paid off her student loans. Now I make $100,000 a year and she sits at about $35,000. Up until that point, we were splitting all the bills evenly. I started paying for more of the bills and running some of her expenses through my business. Small stuff like phone bills and dinners out. And it allows her some financial support to start her business. We were living in a condo she had previously owned up until last fall when I bought a house and we started renting the condo out, which was my choice as I couldn't stand the condo anymore. So as of now, I make 3 times what she does, and our combined bills are more than she can afford if we were to split them 50-50. She still teaches yoga, but the business never materialized. I was okay to pay more than her with the idea that it would rebalance when her business was running, but I'm not comfortable with it being that way forward with no real business progress. I'd be willing if we had kids, but not the way we are now. Our expenses are easy for me to afford half or even all, but for her it's just not possible. We've had some fights, discussions about it in the past, and I'm ready to get back on track. She has already been half-assedly looking for a better paying job in marketing for a couple months, but I don't think she has put out any applications. She's expressed the desire to make more money and carry her weight, but there's no real progress. So my question is this. I'm working on my red pilling, and I know I have a ways to go, and I understand shutting the F up. Should I lay down the law for a deadline for her to get a job that pays a decent wage and start paying bills? Or should I start just keep working on my map and wait? Ultimately, I'm really getting uncomfortable with the financial situation continuing, but I don't want to screw up any progress I've made so far with my growth and her response by throwing down an ultimatum. I'm willing to end the relationship over this, but that's only if there's no hope of changing it. But I'm seeing changes in other areas. Ultimately, I'd rather fix things than burn it down and start over, so should I bring this to a head now or wait till I'm further along? Couple terms before we get started. MAP. This is a term taken from Athol Kay's book, The Male Action Plan. Since then, it's been co-opted once he had his wife start helping him create the things to where they remove the man and they remove the action. It's now called the Mindful Attraction Plan. But essentially what it means is you're setting yourself a goal, usually about a year, or the rule of thumb is 1 month per crappy year you've had in a relationship, in order for you to put yourself on the best foot forward and to make any hard decisions about the status of your relationships. It handles a holistic approach. That's finances, that's body, that's sexuality, that's everything. So when guys refer to MAPs, think of it the same way you would think of as a business guy talking about his 5-year plan. Shut the F up. This one, I know we talk about this all the time in the descriptions, but there's a reason. If you don't know what to say, don't say anything at all. Because while you may not make things work better by being quiet, you're definitely not going to screw up any progress you've made already. STFU is really about being more deliberate in how you speak. It's also in learning how to understand womanese but speak in Manglish. There's going to be a whole bunch of mental models that haven't worked for you in the past, and until you know how to shed those and work within a better paradigm, some more helpful mental models, shed your unhealthy narcissism and build healthy levels of narcissism, removing codependence, etc., etc. Until all those things are in the place, it's better just to be quiet and let things happen, and then reflect on it and act afterwards. Ultimatums. An ultimatum is the ultimate expression of powerlessness, and there's a reason why any red-pilled guy worth his salt will tell you no ultimatums from now on. The problem with an ultimatum is women have this thing called an innate skepticism bias. They're basically hardwired to call the bluff on any guy, and that comes on whether they tell him that, I love you, or yeah, I'll stick around, or any type of profession a guy makes that's low investment. A girl is automatically hardwired to not believe it. And there's reasons for that, but for the sake of this argument, we just have to know that it's there and it exists. So when a guy talks about setting up an ultimatum here, all he's doing is delaying the inevitable. There's going to be a boundary to enforce, a decision to make, and by doing it as an ultimatum, you're not going to be able to offload that responsibility onto the girl in front of you, because she's going to call the bluff and you're going to be where you started anyway. You have to make a decision. So in this case, just save yourself the trouble and decide what you need to decide. The advice for this guy is two-pronged approach. First prong is he has to understand the parts that he's responsible for. He thinks of this as a logistical problem, but it's not. He's literally planned his life this way, and now he's acting surprised when it played out how it played out. As far as the lifestyle advancements, I'll bet anything that none of these lifestyle changes took into account the fact that she was starting her own business and would probably be a little bit until she got her things together. So right there, he admitted that he had the income to be able to support all this stuff, but he chose to go on these extra financial risks while she's at the time when she isn't in a position to take them. So whether he knows it or not, he decided that he was upgrading the lifestyle and he was obviously going to be paying for it. There's no other way to look at this one. Also, the time to have this conversation about a financial plan B was way before she quit her original job, not now that he's basically sitting here feeling like he's being taken advantage of. First thing that happens when you decide to start a business, quit your job, take a risk, especially if you're with a partner, is you bring it up with them. And I know it sounds weird because we always say that communication is useless, but in this case, it would have been a logistical problem. It is a frontal lobe conversation, and you probably should have had it. If a girl wants to leave her job and start a business teaching yoga, doing yoga classes, or having that sort of thing, that's fine. You have a talk with it. You realize with a little bit of due diligence, you can find out what the likely pay is going to be for that within a year, within 5 years. And then you can kind of make financial adjustments based on that. You can also make sure that you have savings to handle the shortfall in the meantime. You can set up a timeline. If this doesn't take off within 12 months, then what's our plan B? But the point is, there has to be a logistical plan on this. Now, I know for a lot of guys, when they discuss these type of things with their wives, they tend to get back a lot of emotional jargon. Well, why don't you believe in me? Yada, yada, yada. It doesn't really matter. This isn't that kind of conversation. You just hold frame and you set aside the important parts of this. Once you got those in hand, then you don't have to worry about how this stuff plays out. You won't be online in a year from now saying, do I leave an ultimatum for my wife? Or do I just dump her because she didn't want to get a job again? Keep in mind, there's a big ego part to this too. I can see the kind of person who leaves a nice corporate job, tries to start a business and fails. There's an ego investment in there. Another reason you do these preparations beforehand is so when the time comes, you don't have to sit there fighting over her ego where she does not like the idea of failing. Either way, all these problems could have been solved much earlier, but they weren't addressed until it became too late, and now he's floundering at the end here. So what's in it for you? It's funny you mention that because when you go through this guy's conversation and guys ask some more probing questions, he adds a bit more to it. I'll put it here. And you're going to see a wonderful example of the male hamster. So one of our veterans asked, do you know for sure this yoga studio won't ever get to the point of franchising into a mega chain? Is making your wife get some desk job she hates so much that she gets depressed? Is it all a good idea? I mean, life is short. Why don't you back the yoga studio? Do you not believe in her? To which his response, and here's what's in it for you. I did back the yoga studio financially, with my physical efforts and emotionally, but it never materialized, so I backed out. I feel like I was putting more into her and it's her dream. I think it was just an excuse to quit a job she didn't like and just to work as a teacher. Now, I don't care about the money and I don't care about the effort on my part other than feeling played. There's more details, but it all ends at the same place. I'm finding it hard after being exposed to the red pill to find her an attractive partner. And right there is the part that matters to you, and that's where his problem is. Talking about a buried lead. The best part about reading these field reports, and the best reason you guys should be writing field reports, is because this has nothing to do with the yoga studio. This has nothing to do with her. It has nothing to do with anything. Except for he's using this frustration over finances to hide the fact that he's got cold feet. And unfortunately, he didn't mention anything about that. Why he thinks he can do better, why he doesn't find her attractive anymore. There's nothing in there. Other than being a yoga studio, she's probably in shape, so it's not that she got fat. And this is the lesson for guys to take away from this. Oftentimes, the actual issue is something that you don't understand, and so you're using these surrogate issues. Not only does this matter for you, but this matters for women. When they're bitching about you doing more chores, you doing the dishes, or that you're not carrying the emotional weight, it's usually hiding an underlying issue. And this is another reason why, A, don't pay attention to what women say, watch what they do, and B, you have to be honest with yourself. An alternative to this is pretty straightforward, but I'm going to have to speculate a bit on my part because he offered no information as to the part that was actually bothering him. For some reason, he's not finding her attractive anymore, and it has something to do with something he read in the red pill. I don't know what that is. I don't know what he's thinking, but chances are it's probably because he's a guy who's in his late 30s and he's realized that he's at his peak sexual market value. Of course, he's ignoring the fact that he's getting value from this girl in all the ways that seem to matter, or at least they have been for the last 10, 15 years. But whatever they are, those are his. Now, if they bother him that much, leave her. Leave her, find somebody else. Don't worry about finding some socially acceptable reason to do that. Don't worry about looking like the good guy. Don't worry about making her be okay with the decisions you make. There is no way to break up without becoming the bad guy in a story, and you just have to accept that. And in this case, I can kind of see why any woman that's hearing this kind of advice immediately goes towards talking to this guy, calling him selfish, and basically berating him for wasting the girl's time. Because if he hasn't figured out his mission in life, he's basically wasting her time, because girls need a guy to have a mission. That's the kind of thing that they find very attractive about a guy from a beta or comfort behavior standpoint. And so right now, he needs to be able to do more with his life other than think about how green the grass is on the other side. But on that note, that's a self-actualization topic that could be a video in and of itself. I'll catch you guys later. We'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.